Hello, everyone. This is Miranda Dennis, and I am just going to give it a few minutes for people to jump on here. And I'm also going to take a minute to share the broadcast out. I'm not sure if it's choppy. It looks choppy. I apologize if it is. I hope everybody's doing well. As you jump on the live, make sure you are sharing this out to your community as well. But I want to talk briefly about depression. So I'm just going to share this in my online therapy and prayer group. And just giving it a few minutes for people to see that I'm online here. So good afternoon, everyone. This is Miranda Dennis, licensed clinical social worker and the owner of Oasis Clinical Counseling Services here in Norfolk, Virginia, as well as the author of My Ordered Steps, which is a dialectical behavioral wellness planner that will help. It has scripture backgrounds or scripture as well as the DBT evidence-based treatment to address 4 core areas which help your relationships with people, helps you manage your emotions, and it also helps deal with stressful situations in the moment without making it worse, because sometimes that's a struggle for all of us, right? And finding ways to manage and take hold of your mind. So those are the core skills of DBT. And in the Wellness Planner, I provided some scripture background, scripture supporting those areas. So today I just wanted to pop on and talk a little bit about when depression comes. When does depression come, and maybe even the core of why depression takes place. This is a really choppy feed. At least it looks choppy to me, so I apologize if it's choppy on the viewer's end as well. So thanks for joining me. And so basically, I went to a event last night in Norfolk, Virginia, and it was called The Journey to Peace. And it was about addressing some questions that people had with depression in the church. And there were a couple of things that were sparked for me that I found really interesting. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk on this and comment in my community. So one of the things that came to my mind, one of the things that while we were there, they were talking about is depression comes when our expectations of Christ isn't, of taking care of our problems, isn't fulfilled. And I'd like to add, depression also comes when our expectations of other people they don't meet our expectations, and people let us down. And we've put too much expectation and judgment on how we think they should treat us, how we think they should interact with us, how we think they should even think. We cannot control other people. The only person that we have control over is ourselves, and that's absolutely fine. That's the way we're created. So that means we have free will. And because we have free will, we have to acknowledge that other people also have free will. And guess what? They're going to say things that disappoint us. They're not going to meet our expectations 100% of the time. So when that happens, we still have to be effective creatures. We still have to make good decisions. It is still our responsibility to live life in a responsible way. So a couple of things that I wrote down that I think might be helpful to address when we're talking about when depression comes and someone or a prayer not being answered. A couple things that I encourage you to keep in mind. Number one, is this something you genuinely need? Is this a need? A need is not the same thing as a want. You have to know the difference, and you have to know, is this important and I absolutely need this right now? Then if the answer is yes, because we all have needs and we have wants, and sometimes we are blessed to be able to have our needs and our wants met, and many times we're not. And so, but the first step, so if it's a need that you have, and that's a yes, right? So then I would say, ask yourself, am I being realistic? Is this need or want something that is realistic? Is it a realistic expectation of myself? Is it a realistic expectation of someone else? And I believe in prayer, and I think, but sometimes I think we there's nothing wrong with having faith and asking for beyond where your faith is, but I also think that we should be realistic and have faith. So I'm not saying, don't ask God to provide $1 million for you, but don't ask God to provide $1 million and you're not working, and you're not in business, and you're not grinding. So to me, that's unrealistic. Can he do it? Absolutely. But you're going to increase your own emotional suffering if you're asking for things that are not realistic. So if you are in a relationship with someone and they're the type of person that isn't always kind to you, they don't know how to manage their anger, they are constantly blaming you for things going on in the relationship not going correct, then are you being realistic that this is a healthy relationship for you? So these are the types of things when I'm saying, so one, are you asking for what you need or want in a realistic manner? And then three, the other thing I would say when we're talking about hey, hello to those that are just joining. I can't really see who it is, but just make sure you're saying hi in the comments. But I'm Miranda Dennis, the owner of Oasis Clinical Counseling Services. And I just popped on quickly to talk a little bit about when depression comes. And just a quick recap for those that are jumping on, or if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay, and I'll go back through and make sure I am addressing your comments, questions you might have, because I can't really see it right now. But we're talking about depression comes when our expectations of our prayers, of God, or other people don't turn out the way that we want it to. And so I'm talking a little bit about, taking a step back, removing yourself from the situation and saying, okay, is this something that I absolutely need right now? And am I being realistic about it? And then the third thing I also think is, okay, what can you do? What can I do to help myself with this expectation, with this need? So if I have a need that I'm not praying about, I'm not working towards, I'm not taking care of myself, I'm allowing past hurt to hinder me from setting goals to move forward, all of those things will impact and can increase your own emotional suffering if you're not taking care of these things, if you're not being realistic. So I just, I encourage you to start with self-validation. So if you have a need, I think it's okay to say, you know what, I have this need, and then name the emotion. I'm frustrated, I'm sad, I'm disappointed, I'm hurt, I'm embarrassed. Whatever the emotion is, name the emotion and then validate. Like, this situation is causing, and acknowledge, this situation is causing me to feel this way. I would say be very careful of blaming statements, blaming other people. If they would have done this, this should have happened. God needs to answer my prayer right now. Lord, if you, and then negotiating. God, if you do this thing for me, then I'll serve you forever. Okay, so much I could say about that. but we need to be realistic. We need to validate ourselves. We need to acknowledge our emotions, and then we need to do steps that are going to create and cultivate healthy environments. We need to have and do things that will create an environment of sustained change. That is with your relationships, that's with your faith, that's with your job, that's with yourself. Hey, I just seen somebody else pop on. I'm not really sure who it is, but just say hi in the comments. And I'm just talking a little bit about depression and when and the things that might cause depression. And a lot of it stems from having unrealistic expectations of a prayer not being answered, a judgment on someone not providing the thing that we think they should be providing. And so just talking a little bit about how to start overcoming that. And part of that is the self-validation. Part of that is you doing something every day, something small, to create an environment of sustained change so that you can manage your own emotions without having to feel the need for someone outside of you to validate you, to get you out of the hole that you're in. We put too much pressure and expectation on other people to do the emotional work that we should be doing ourselves. And yes, I said should. I try not to say shoulds, but this is a should. There are things that we personally need to be doing in order to, we really have to be the captain of our own fate sometimes. And we rely on other people to pull us out of holes that we got ourselves into. We resort to bargaining with God and praying, if you do this, then I'll do this. Well, you did something to get yourself there. So, we've got to have some personal responsibility and say, okay, I acknowledge that was a mistake. And here are the steps. Here are the things that I'm going to do differently moving forward. And I think doing that, you're going to have a better understanding and you're going to have a better commitment to your own emotional well-being. So yes, depression will come, and yes, depression will go, because it is an emotion, and emotions are like a wave. And the other thing that I say a lot about emotions lie. They do. I have been guilty of really believing something, like I believe that person is lying to me, no evidence, but I believe they're lying, they're not telling the truth, no evidence, only to later find out I misinterpreted something, I misunderstood something, I didn't have all the information. So if you are going to only bank on your emotions 100% of the time, then I'm going to say you're going to be very disappointed. You are going to be in a state of depression more often, because emotions are not always the truth, and they don't reveal the whole picture. So I just caution you on that. I encourage you, set some time aside to spend with yourself, identifying your emotions. Emotions are not bad. We do have them. Everyone has them. There are 8 that we're born with. And I actually probably should do a live video on that, about the 8 primary emotions. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining. Yeah, because I don't think people realize that we do have 8 primary emotions that are born within us, and they're innate. And then all of the other emotions that we experience from there we call them secondary emotions. So that's not really what this live feed is about, but I think I should do that. I'll have to do that and get that together for you guys and talk a little bit about that as well. So just be careful. Depression will come and depression will leave, but depression will stay around if you are having unrealistic expectations, if you don't know the difference between a need and a feeling, or a need and a want. If you aren't able to acknowledge the feeling and put a name on it, then you're not going to know how to attack it or take care of it. Or and the other thing you have to do with the emotions, you do have to love them, even the bad ones, because loving your emotion is a part of who you are. And if, as Christians, if we believe that we are created in the image of God, then He gave us our emotions, and they are a part of us. And so there's nothing wrong with who we are, and yet there's times where we feel like something is wrong because we're experiencing depression. And so I can't say enough that depression is just an emotion that everyone experiences. It doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't make you crazy. Doesn't make you demon possessed. None of that stuff is true. But what is true, it is our responsibility to acknowledge the depression. It is our responsibility to then cultivate environments that will help us sustain the changes that we are making, help us to, and it's our responsibility to, if we know that we have a problem with depression, we have a problem with anger, there are professional people that are right whatever city you're in, that are licensed and trained to help you with these issues. So therapy is not a bad word, and I think we need to get over that, especially in the Christian community. We need to get over that. So. But I could go on talking forever, but I wanted to just jump on and encourage you to look at your expectations of people, look at your expectations of the prayers that you prayed that haven't been answered. Are they realistic? Are you putting your faith in wishy-washy things that are going to end up hurting you? And if you are, you have the power to change that. So thanks for tuning in. And I will catch you later.